Hello there, my name's Vince from My Mate Vince, and in this video today we're going to be looking at this BOSE SoundTouch IV. Now, it's a bit of a strange thought on this because there's no audio whatsoever. It's reading discs fine. You can see now we're on track 4, 1 minute 52. If I was to pause it here, it does in fact pause and unpause, but yet no audio's coming out. If I put the volume up, I'm right now on maximum, 99. Yeah, but it goes all the way down to I think it was 0 or 1 or something like that. So it's completely silent. Yet check this out. If I plug in headphones into the back here, I can hear. There you go. Hopefully you can hear that. So it's working through the headphones but not through the speakers. And it can't be just a speaker problem because both speakers, well, I don't know how many speakers it's got, but it's at least got 2, hasn't it? In which case then, if one of the speakers had failed, it would be highly unlikely that 2 speakers has failed, unless of course one went years ago and the original owner didn't realise. So this was given to me by my friend Mike, and it was given to him by his barber. So I don't think anybody's been in it before, so you never know, it might be a straightforward fix, or it could be a complete nightmare. I don't know. Let's take it over to the blue mat, start taking it apart and see if we can work out why there's no audio whatsoever. Should be an interesting one. Right, I'm shocked. I just had a look on eBay and these are selling for £575, and even auction ones seem to be in excess of £300 with time to go. So yeah, very expensive, and I think they ran from, I think it was about 2014 to about 2019. I'd be curious to know the actual new price of them. Must have been a lot of money. Now, obviously there's mains going in here, so even though I'm unplugged, because it's been plugged in, there could still be capacitors that have power in here, so I've got to be really careful. Now, I am going to put this to one side because even this on its own is £125 on eBay. Seriously expensive stuff. So what I'm initially thinking is, it works on the headphone jack. So let's say if that headphone jack or the aux plug was faulty, then it's going to cut sound, isn't it? Because as soon as you plug in a headphone jack, it should cut sound to the speakers. So I'm thinking it might not be like an audio chip, because if the audio chip was faulty, I don't think it would be generating. I'm not sure if the audio amplifier though. I don't know whether or not if that was faulty, it would still generate the signal to the headphone jack. I'm now thinking whether the headphone jack itself has failed. And it's thinking that headphones are plugged in all the time, even when they're not. So this is nice and easy to get into. There's just 5 Phillips screws on the bottom and then the whole lid comes off. There is a touch sensor on the top which like puts it into snooze, it like turns it on and off. I thought it would be fed by a ribbon cable, but it's not. It's some sort of conductive foam and then these copper prongs that actually attach to the device itself. So that's quite nice. I'm taking out the transformer. It is a Toyrodal transformer. The pronunciation might not be quite right there, but I remember seeing these before in Bang & Olufsen products. I've been told that they're very good for higher quality audio. So I'm taking that out. That means that this hasn't got a switch mode power supply. It's this transformer which is putting the high voltage AC down to low voltage AC, and then we will have diodes on the board to turn the AC into DC, to rectify it into DC. So I shouldn't have to worry about that big scary looking cap because it should be a low voltage one. So yeah, nice and easy to get into. Now that I've got the lid off and stuff, I want to test the actual speakers. I have to disconnect them. I want to make sure that the speakers are not blown, because it could be that both speakers are blown. Unlikely, but let's do an ohms test on them. Let's just see if we still have an ohms reading on here. Yes, we do. So it's 7 ohm. And 7 ohm. So that says to me the speakers are probably going to be okay. Now, is this going to lift up? Yes, it is. Right, we have a ribbon cable here. The display at the front is fine, so we don't need to worry about that. I'm going to take a quick picture of that just to make sure it goes back in the same way. Now, no sound. So these are the things for the speakers here. This is going to be like the audio type chip here, I think, because it's next to the speakers, and I don't know, it just looks like one. I bet this is the amplifier here. But I am going to take this board out. I think I'm going to worry about the headphone jacks to begin with. Right, both ports look near enough the same, the headphone and the aux in. So I wonder, would we get the same kind of reading on them? Let's go between 1 and 2 on both of them. Ah, no, hold on 1 second. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 4. But they're the same, aren't they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're the same. Let's just go between here and here, see if we have a reading. No, here. No, here. Okay, continuity there. No continuity there. So we're going to have the same here, aren't we? Oh no, it's different. Yeah, even the traces look different. Is that linked to here? Yeah, so that's ground. 1 second now, which is headphone? Right, headphones is the very end one, so this is the headphone one. And this is aux in. Right, so I need to plug something in and see what changes, because I don't quite understand how this is working. So at the moment we haven't got anything connected anywhere on these. Let's see if that changes when something gets plugged in. So plug the headphones in now. Now let's see if it behaves differently. Ah, okay, so we've got 30 ohms there and there. Let's unplug. Oh no, I don't think it's a headphone jack problem. Yeah, okay. Right, so we know that the headphone jack's working, yeah? I just want to see which one is kind of, which ones are going to be the left and right audio. So I've just plugged in a jack into it, and we know that this is going to be like the ground one. So let's see where that comes up. Right, so it's coming up there and here. So let's go to this one. This is going to be left or right, I can't remember. That's coming up here, and this will be the other one here. Right, so we want to follow this one here and this one here and see where they end up, because we know that they're working. So should we take it from here? It goes through that inductor, I think, to here, and then I lose it. It also goes through here, and then it goes to there, and I lose it because it goes to the other side of the board. Let's check this one. Here it goes. That might be a capacitor. Inductor. Through, so it does go, these are test points, but it goes through the board, doesn't it? I wonder, are they test points or not? 1 second now. Here. Oh, via here. Let's see if, let's get a multimeter on continuity and go on one of the test points here and see if it's coming up on here, because that's where this weird chip is here. Let's see what it's called. TDA7376B. Yeah, that is going to be an audio amplifier. Now, it might be going through resistors and stuff before then, so just because it doesn't come up here, it doesn't mean it's not coming up here. Let's just have a listen. No, let me try this one. No, okay. Right, let's zoom in and see where that via goes to and see if we can follow it on this side of the board, but I think we're going to struggle. Well, actually, before we're doing that, we seem to be such a long way off here, it could be going through the board many times. Let's go from here, because we know we haven't got anything on the outputs here. So let's see if we can go from these two and see where they go to. I think it's pointing towards this chip here. So we have one speaker connection here and one here. Now, this one here goes through and goes to this pin here. and this one goes through here and goes to this pin. So 1 and 2 are feeding this one, and this one is here 15 and here. So it's these two and these two that is being fed. Let's get the schematics up for this particular chip, because luckily it's all labelled up nice here. Look, check this out. I haven't looked up the pin out or anything for them yet, but even from places like Mouser, so these are going to be genuine and Farnell, £6.70 and £8.10. Obviously there'll probably be VAT and there might be delivery on top of that, but that's not a lot of money at all. So hopefully the chip is the thing that's failed, because I can get them. Now another thing you can get is circuit boards from PCBWay. PCBWay have over a decade experience in the PCB industry. They have state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities and they use the latest technology to produce high-quality PCBs that meet your specification. At PCBWay, they have a range of services including PCB prototyping, PCB assembly, flexible PCBs, high-density PCBs, CNC machining and 3D printing. Now, if your project is going to be using components that produce a lot of heat, you could think about using aluminium PCBs because it will allow for better heat dissipation. It will transfer heat away from those components. And guess what? PCBWay do aluminium PCBs as well. So a massive thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring the My Mate Vince channel. Now, let's look at the schematics of this little chip. Right, so this is it here. 2 times 35 watt power amplifier for car radio. You can pause that if you want to read all about it. Dual bridge audio amplifier. And it says here, it says it's got like a mute thing, so maybe it's been muted, but we have the mute function, but we have got something on the headphone jack. So that's why I'm now thinking that maybe this is going to be working okay. If you have a look here, this is it here. And you can see that the outputs are 14 and 15 pins, and 1 and 2, and we've seen that earlier. I think we need to look at VCC1, which is pin 3, and VCC2, which is pin 13, and then we'll worry about the other stuff. Let's see if it's getting voltage. Right, so it was pin 3 and pin 13, and they've labelled it up here 1, 2. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've labelled up 8 as well, going all the way to 15. So 1, 2, 3, so this parallel, and then 15, 14, 13. So they've linked them here together. This one, goes around here and it goes up to the positive of this massive capacitor, and this capacitor is up to 25 volts. So let's carefully plug it. I'm going to get it connected up with the transformer, and then I'm going to keep my hands well away from anything here, because if I touch this I will be electrocuted. There'll be 240 volts mains AC going through me if I touch anything around here. So I'm not going to be touching anything here, apart from I'm just going to be probing the board. The ground from the capacitor goes down to pin 8 here, and I can see that pin 8 is the ground. So all I have to do is gently touch the ground here, black lead from my multimeter, and here or here, and then I should be able to see if this chip is getting voltage. So let's do that now. Right, I'm going to plug it in, and I'm not going to be touching anything. Right, here goes. Right, so I'm plugged in now. Let's quickly go across the ground, which is number 8. Well, I'll tell you what, let's just take the ground from here. And let's just go across here, because that's the same thing. Right, 15 volts. So the chip is definitely getting fed with voltage on here. Right, let's go straight onto here. Yeah, 15 volts. Chip's getting fed with voltage. Right, I'm going to unplug. And now you can see the voltage going down. Right, so the chip is getting fed with voltage. Now it gets a little bit more complicated now, because I can't put any audio into this unless I connect it all up. But if I connect it all up, I'm not going to be able to get to the pins on the bottom of the board. So what else do I need to look for? This is the out here. Let's have a look in to see where it goes in, because then, so basically what happens is you have the signal going into here and it gets amplified by this chip, and then it goes out to the speakers. So if there's no signal getting in, that's not going to work. Also the mute on this is number 6, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going up here in that tiny little trace. So we need to look at that as well. But I'm thinking mute, would that not mute it on the headphones as well? In fact, there's no signal getting into this. It's not going to, it wouldn't be playing on the headphones, would it? Surely the headphones goes through here. See, we still might have a problem with the headphone jack. Right, 6 files, I'm happy to work on that. I feel more nervous on this one because it's not my product, so if I mess it up, I will. Although, you know, Mike has said that it may not be fixable, I'm still nervous because it's an expensive product, you see. And that's why I don't do repairs for other people, because you see, there's added pressure there, isn't it? If I buy this and I break it, then it doesn't matter. Looks like there's some solder missing from there. 1 second. I'll zoom right in. That one doesn't look like it's... Oh, hold on a minute. I was going to say that one doesn't look like it's been soldered, but we've got corrosion. We have corrosion. Right, what pin is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pin 5 is in, the negative in, and pin 4 is positive in. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's these two traces coming from here. This is the signal into the chip. So now I wonder, have we got anything between this leg and there? Let's go to continuity. So it looks like this has got a bit of water damage. It doesn't look bad though. Let's see if it's coming up here. Yeah, it's still coming up here, so it's still travelling to there. What's this thing going on here? Let's get some IPA and clean up those 2 points. Right, let me just see if it's going through on the opposite side of the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, number 5. Is it connected anywhere? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, unless of course it's a multi-layer board. Is it multi-layer? Be unlikely. I don't think it is. I wonder whether that goes anywhere else. I think it's unlikely. Let's see if that vire's been eaten through. So we have the contact here and it's next to that one. Yeah. So let's flip that over. So middle of these two. Top of it's this one here. So it's only a test point anyway. It doesn't go anywhere. So it looks like it's coming from the top pin. I think that's okay. And although there is corrosion here, I don't think this is the problem. I think that's fine. Right, okay. In. The music must be getting in, but it's not getting out. I should be able to connect it up and measure from the top here, shouldn't I? If I was to go across these points here, I might be able to see the signal going into the chip. Because if we have voltage going into the chip, and then a signal for the music in, then that says to me the chip's failed. Oh, this is also another in here. This is also in 11 and 12 going down this way. Yeah, down here. Right. I don't feel overly happy about this because, again, I've got mains voltage here. I think the sensible thing would be maybe to unsolder the cap and put my own 15 volts or whatever it was going into it. But anyway, again, I'm not going to touch anything on this side here. So I've got everything connected up apart from the CD player. So I think I will be okay, and also the AM thing. Now what I've done is I've soldered 2 wires onto here. And this is basically the in, positive and negative on number 2, just the second channel. I don't know, maybe I should have done it on number 1, but I've done it on here. I want to see if I play something via the aux from my phone, via the 3.5mm jack on the aux in, whether I'm going to be able to pick it up on here through my own amplified speaker. Because then you see, I don't need it to go through the chip, I'm getting it through here. That's what I'm thinking. So first of all, let's try and turn it on anyway. Right, so I'm not going to be touching anything in this area here. I also want to plug in my headphones to see if I've got anything there. So I'm plugging it in now. And let's turn this thing on. Right, okay, well, it's saying please wait here. So let me just give it a little bit. And I need to go to aux in. I know you can't see this, but it's lighting up here. Aux is here. Right, okay. Right, it says aux down here now. Let's play. So it's playing there. Let me plug this in to see whether or not it's coming through the headphones. Right, so I've got it here. You won't be able to hear it, just take my word for it. So now let's unplug that. And let's see now, I've got my speaker with a 3.5mm lead in it. And I've got basically, this is the ground and this is like, you know, the left and the right audio. So if I was to go to negative, which is pin 11, which is going to be this one. So let's put that one here. Let's see if we're getting sound through here. We are. Fantastic. So we got sound going in. Yeah, listen. Brilliant. So we got sound going into that chip. So the chip must be faulty, I presume. I'll tell you what we'll do now. Let's turn that off. Let's go directly onto the output of that chip. How am I going to do that without messing things up? Just in case it's the path going through these ones here that have failed, I think I'm going to have to turn it off and just solder onto the output ones, you know, the ones I showed you earlier. So let's do that. Now obviously if I had a spare chip I would just swap it over rather than doing all this messing about in, out, etc. It's just that it's nice to fault find it, and also I haven't got a spare chip, so it means I've got to order one, which means I've got to pack this all away for the next few days. So that's why I'm kind of wanting to prove 100% it is the chip before I go out and buy one. Of course, when I'm doing this, I knock over my IPA. That's a given. It doesn't matter where I put it. I put the IPA this time well out of the way because I know that I knock it over in most videos, and still I managed to knock it over. And it's not even a top heavy thing. It's a cap. So I then have to wipe up all the mess I've made, and also then I have to go wash my hands because IPA with my skin, for some reason, it just ends up getting all red and inflamed and cracks. So it doesn't take much work with IPA at all before my skin's had it. Anyway, I'm waffling. Let's give a shout out to My Mate Vince Massive. They're the members, the top level members over on Patreon. The members this month are kitdigital.com, Kip Hakes and Max Rokotansky, Having Fun Repairs, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeebs.com, DJ VG, Pigsy, Robert from Timsy's Auto Air, Daniel Watson, Anthony Dean, Bazza2, Russ Melanson, Gaspar Heller, Rickard Bergland, Jacob Colpin, Matt Rawlins, Soul Reaver 555, Angry Owltech, and Ellis Garbett. A massive thank you to each and every one of you. Right, now let's see if we have any output from this chip. So I'm going to put the speaker across that here now, and just to see in case there's a fault between the output and these things here, you know, those little inductors and stuff. So I'm going to plug it in now. It says please wait. Right, we're on aux. Let's see now what we have. So 14 is negative. See there. Nothing. Not working. So it must be the chip that's failed. Isn't that interesting? Nothing there at all. Yet we have it on the input to the chip, and we've got voltage going into the chip. So unless there's something to do with the mute, maybe we could trace it back from the mute. But then again, the mute would be, well, I'll tell you what. Let's see if mute's working on the headphones. Yeah.
Right, I know you're not going to be able to hear this. Right, so they're working. Let me see if mute works. Well, I mean, yeah, it's muted. It says mute up the front here. I think that proves it's the chip, doesn't it? We've got voltage going into it, mute works, we have the input going into it at least from one side. Right, time's a ticking, this video's going on a bit. Basically, long story short, I ordered a chip from CPC. It was only about £5 or £6, but then by the time you include VAT, delivery fee and handling fee, it was 20 something pound. So I opted to go for the free shipping and free handling by spending, I think it was 30 something pound. This meant I had to bump the order up with a load of bridge rectifiers and 3.3 volt regulators and 5 regulators. It's annoying because the item's cheap, but by the time you knock everything onto it, it starts getting quite expensive. But saying that, it does mean I've got spares. The problem is, the next item I do, I'll probably also need to buy something from CPC, but this order's already gone in now, and then when I go to buy again, the item will be £1.50, and I'll have to pay £20 by the time I include handling fees, shipping fees, and everything else. So then you buy a load more capacitors, and you end up having a house full of capacitors, and not a lot of components that you actually need because you can't foresee the future. The first world problem of not having enough spares. Anyway, a few days later, we're going to pick up this video now when this chip's arrived. I've already unsoldered this from the board using my desoldered gun. It all came out quite nice. Had to add a little bit of leaded solder to it just in order to lower down the temperature to get it out, but it was easy enough to work on. So far, this board has actually, this item has been a nice thing to work on, plenty of room. So yeah, let's pick up the video now in a few days' time when the replacement chip has arrived. Well, it's been about 4 days later and it has arrived. So let's see if it's definitely the same one. TDA 7376B. I think that was it. TDA 7376B. Fantastic. Right, let's solder this in and then I'll have to put on some new thermal paste. Fits in nicely there. If you're wondering what the red insulation tape is, it was just to save me getting a shock when I was testing it when the circuit board was live, just in case I accidentally slipped and my hands hit against the mains part where it came in. Well, as you can imagine, the chip solder's in nice and easy because it's all nice and clean and new. And I'll give it all a clean up with some isopropyl alcohol, which I haven't yet knocked over today, which is always a good thing. I'm going to use some fresh MX4 thermal compound on it. This will drain the heat out of the chip into the heat sink, and hopefully this chip will last many more years to come. Why the chip failed in the first place, I don't know. Could it be that it was played at max volume for a prolonged amount of time? You think it would be designed to cope with that, or maybe it was just one of those unlucky things and the chip just failed. So I'm putting it back together, but not fully back together. I'm not doing up every single screw, but I'm doing up the majority of screws because I'm confident that the chip is at fault, because we've proved the fault onto the chip. So the next part of this video now will be me about to turn it on, and hopefully you will hear these lovely sounds coming out of this, and we can find out why it costs up on £600 on eBay. There must be a following for this. There must be quite a bit of demand for it. I presume that's because it sounds very good. So here we go, about to turn it on. Right, let's just pop the back cover on. I won't do up these screws here, but everything else is done up. This is where it doesn't work and everyone tells me off for putting it back together. Right, we are safe to test. So is it going to be that little audio chip? I think it is. We get a CD. It's saying please wait up the front. Let's see if it's going to read it. I'll have to stop it instantly because of copyright. What? No way, it's still not working. I wasn't expecting that. What? I was not expecting that at all. No way. No, look, it's playing. Oh my. Let's go to radio. AM, yeah, there's no fuzz or anything. No. I was sure that that was going to work. Right, let me get my headphones. I was positive that was going to work. Gutted. Yeah, I can hear a load of sound coming out of it. Let's go to CD again. Oh no. Listen. Yeah, right. So, it's not the chip. Right, look at this. I haven't got the CD drive in it, and I plugged this in. I've just got it on FM. I plugged it in, and as soon as I unplugged it, sorry, backtrack. I took this cover off. There's a little board, a kind of board that's soldered onto pins, and I was going to use the flare cam to see if there's any chips getting warm under that. But look, I've got it on FM now. I plugged this in here, and then when I unplugged it, it came through the speakers for a split second. So right now, that's through here. Hopefully you can hear that. But it came for a second. There. Did you hear that? There. There we go. It's something to do with this jack, I think. Either that or whatever chip's recognising that this has been plugged in. I think this is a mechanical failure in there. So let's take out the board, let's unsolder the jack and see if we can find out what's going on. With the multimeter it's testing okay, but there must be something wrong with the inside of it. So let's see if we can actually open it up to find out what's going on. There we go, excellent, it's come out. Let's see if we can spot anything that's not right on here. Right, let's see if we can separate this out, because it looks, in my opinion, fine. So it might not be this, it might be whatever chip detects it is playing up. But if we can eliminate this, we might start to understand it a bit more. Because right now I don't know what's going on. Now, how does this come out? Does it lift up here? Here we go. Excellent. Annoyingly, that looks perfect, does it not? Well, as far as I can see, this is working normally, because look, when we plug it in here, we know that the ground off here is going to this one, and it's also going to this one, and that was the same. Remember on the board, those two had continuity when something was plugged in, and then this middle one here goes to this side, and then the tip goes to this side and nowhere else. Middle one only there and nowhere else, and the ground here goes here and here, and yet when we unplug it, these two will no longer be grounded. So I don't think it's anything. I think the switch is okay. Yeah, it detects this because then it's making this part here grounds. So let's have a look on this board. So basically these two are connected to each other when it's plugged in. Yeah, on this side they're connected all the time, but remember this is line in, it's not a headphone. So now that goes to here. So is it something to do, I suppose we need to find out, is it switching from here or switching from here? Because right now I think this is thinking there's a headphone plugged in. But I don't know. Is this in contact with here? Yes. So would it be when it goes from... So would it be this one then that for some reason is not getting recognised. Just a bit weird when we plugged it in how it started to work for a split second. I think what I need to do is, I think I need to bring 4 wires out from here so I can actually play around with them. Because they're labelled up 1, 2. I'll do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then I'll call that one there 4. And then I can play around with them. Short them together and see, mimic one of these being plugged in. So I'm soldering on 4 wires onto the points where the headphone jack goes, but the headphone jack isn't in place. And then I'm going to put it back together. So let's pick up the video now as I'm about to turn it on with the 4 wires in place. And my idea is if I short the right 2 wires, then it may start working, or it may stop working thinking that there's a headphone jack in there.
I'm plugging it in now.
I've got 4 wires back here. So let me put it onto FM. Oh my word, did you hear that? It's working, so something must have been shorting in there, and by me taking it apart, I fixed it. Hold on a minute. Let's see now. It's weird because that was the very first thing I thought it might be. Let's just see if there's any continuity. That shouldn't be. No. Let's go between these two. Here, here. No. So they're not shorting. How weird is that? Unless, what I did notice was, let me just try that a couple more times just in case it's fluke. Do the volume. Volume up. And mute. Right, okay. Wow. Let me show you what I think may have happened. Let's have a little look. So it was thinking that there was something plugged in all the time. Now, if there's something plugged in all the time, it shorts between this one here and this one here. Yep, these two. Basically the middle two. So now let's zoom right in. There was a little bit of corrosion under there. I wonder, could that be it? I'm unplugged from the mains right now. So, on this side, can you see we have these weird kind of spark gaps thing? But you're not going to see it now. But when I unsoldered it, can you see that this is more... Look how clean these two are. Can you see that this one is corroded? Hold on a minute. Does that one go to there? Or not? If it does, that might be the problem. Maybe corrosion jumped that gap. Let's have a look. I don't think it does though. It does. Oh, corrosion jumped the gap here. Yeah, that goes to there. So these two here are no longer connected. And I think that would be my white, white, green and orange wire. These two here. So now let's short them together. And let's see if these are connected now. Yeah, I think what's happened is, because this was underneath the thing, I think when water got into it, and we know water got into it, I think it gapped between here and here. Because look, we've only got a millimetre, haven't we? This little line here. Is that even a millimetre? It might not even be quite a millimetre. I think that's what's happened. Mind you, when we tested it early, there was any continuity when we plugged it in. Unless it was measuring a resistance. Continuity on my meter will be like, 50 ohms, under 50 ohms. But maybe it was still measuring a resistance. It might have been like 200 ohms or something. And that might have been enough for the actual sound system here, the BOSE sound system, not to work because it thought headphones were plugged in. Even though continuity on my meter. Does that make sense? So maybe if I was to get maybe a 200 ohm resistor and put it between there, maybe this still wouldn't work because it thinks there's certain headphones plugged into it. While with my meter, it will only beep when it's 50 ohms or less. So at 51 ohms, it won't beep. I bet you that was it. So I'm going to say that this was corrosion damage. And yeah, because we've seen corrosion on the speaker points there, and it's not that far away from here. I think it's sat underneath here and caused a little bit of corrosion. Right, let's solder it back in and see if it starts working. If it doesn't, then I know that I've read this completely wrong and I haven't got a clue how the inside of this thing works. Oh, how annoying is that? So it was the headphone jack all along. So basically when you plug something in, 100% my meter was shorting. But when I unplugged it, my meter wasn't shorting, but it could have been reading 51 ohms. Or 60 ohms or anything above 50 ohms and my meter wouldn't have shorted. So what I should have done in hindsight is I should have got a resistance reading just on ohms, and then you see if it had read 55 ohms I would think that probably doesn't seem right, but then I would have probably thought it was the components after that in circuit that was causing it, but it might have given me a bit more clue that maybe there was something not quite right. So I didn't need to buy another chip. It doesn't matter, I've got this chip as a spare in case I come across one of these again in the future. Or it did say car radios or something, car stereos, so maybe car amplifiers and stuff. Maybe this is a popular chip in the car amplifier market, so you never know, in future I might come across them. So let's put it all back together and let's see at long last, is it going to make noise without any headphones plugged into it while the headphone jack is connected. Right, we're down, plug it in. Come on now. I've got the headphone jack soldered in. It says please wait. Let's see what it's going to do. Please wait. Right, okay, it's gone off. Let's turn it on. Radio. Come on. Yes! Brilliant! Come on now, Amy. Come on now. Come on. Come on. Come on.
They tried to make me go to rehab. I said,
Mute. Oh, brilliant. Amazing. Corrosion. Not on the headphone jack, on the board underneath the headphone jack. What a sneaky place to have it, which made this think that there was something plugged into it when there wasn't. So, right, let me go back to radio. And let me plug this in and see if the headphone jack's still working. Yes, it is. Let me put the volume up. Hopefully you can hear that. Well, you can hear that. And out. And in. And out. Result. And off. Oh, right, okay, I am going to put the rest of the screws in, give it a little clean, and then we are going, oh, sorry, that turns it on. And that turns it off, snooze. And then we're going to finish up. I want to listen to it because the reviews are really good. I want to listen to the sound, see what it sounds like, and then finish up. So basically there was nothing wrong with that chip. I didn't need to change the chip at all. But you can see why I thought it was the chip, because I had inputs going into it, but nothing coming out. Yet we had voltage going into the chip and the ground was there. So I think everybody would have thought, well, not everybody, if you knew what you're doing, you wouldn't have thought it. But I think the majority of people would have thought the chip was at fault. So I didn't need to buy that chip. It was just corrosion based. Fantastic. Right, it is working perfectly. I haven't tried the Wi-Fi part of it yet, but that's the bottom section. But it's working via aux in, CD, radio, AM. I can't get FM because I haven't got a thing connected, and I can't get DAB because I haven't got a thing connected, but it's on AM at the moment, and you can hear it here.
Taking the levers are changed.
And if I go to aux in, no Bluetooth, hold on one second. How do I go to aux in? Aux in, there we go. And if I play it here, you'll be able to hear it. Right, now, the sound is good. Considering there's just 2 speakers there, the sound is good. I wanted to do a little comparison with the Zeppelin. I know I should be a salesman for these things, but for me, I again think the sound's a lot better on that than this. And could it be because there's 6 speakers in this while there's only 2 in this, and it's relying on kind of passive stuff rather than having the actual speakers themselves? Again, I'm not an audio guy, so I don't know, but in my opinion, I think this sounds better than that, but this does still sound nice. I tell you what it sounds bassy, so if you like bassy stuff, then I presume you're going to like this one. I've chosen this song here because it's not very bassy, but even when I'm listening to Amy Winehouse here, in my opinion, it sounds very boomy. But apparently there's a way you can go into the setup menu down here. You can go to setup by holding that button down, and then you can lower down the bass. So maybe if you were to lower down the bass, it might sound better. But anyway, this isn't a review of the actual product. This is about fixing it, and I'm so pleased I fixed it. Well worth fixing. Still a very, very, very expensive product. And yes, I did spend money on it, but I didn't actually need to, did I? Because it just needed to be clean. So it just needed some labor putting into it. So yeah, very, very, very happy with that repair there. If you liked it, give it a massive thumbs up. A massive thank you to Mike for letting me work on this one. I hope the barber enjoys his item back, and I hope you all enjoyed the video. I will see you all very soon. Thank you so much for watching.